Good morning. I'm Harley Schlanger from the LaRouche Organization with your daily video update for May 21st, 2025. Well, we're facing a situation where it's time to defeat the forces of evil. And these forces have identified themselves very clearly, especially when it comes to the war ongoing in Ukraine and the genocide in Israel. Lyndon LaRouche once talked about the question of these kinds of strategic confluences as a test of the moral fitness of humanity. Do we have the moral fitness to survive? Well, the moves for peace in Ukraine reflect an attempt to get back to a morally fit universe. And what we're seeing, regardless of what you think of them, is that Trump and Putin are moving to try to end the war in Ukraine. And they're being opposed by the puppets of the military-industrial financial complex running the major governments in Europe, mainly the City of London hand guiding Starmer, Macron, and now Merz of Germany. We also see it from the European Union. You have the 17th round of sanctions declared against Russia. This is crazy. The idea of sanctions has backfired terribly, and it's affecting the European countries more than it is Russia. The drive for the EU countries for rearmament, von der Leyen's slogan of rearm Europe. But this is spending hundreds of billions of euros that the governments don't have at a point where infrastructure is collapsing, social systems are collapsing. And for what? To wage a war against Russia that's already lost? And the continued support for Zelensky's puppet regime is the European policy. Now, von der Leyen issued a decree. She said Russia must accept a 30-day ceasefire. And what Putin's saying is, what good is a ceasefire? We want to end the war, which means address the conditions that led to the launching of the special military operation in the first place. Now, why not negotiate a change in the anti-Russian NATO security architecture? That's what the Russians have been demanding, and also no NATO in Ukraine. Now, there's essentially from Europe an open rebellion against the attempt to normalize relations between Russia and the United States, which was indicated clearly by the reaction against the recent Putin-Trump phone call. Now, the obvious point is if the U.S. cuts off aid to Ukraine, will Europe come in and replace it? Can Europe replace it? Do they have the weapons production capability, the money to do it? Or will there be an open rebellion against the already highly unpopular governments of Macron, Starmer, and Merz? So that's one of the key things to consider, that this is a test for the European population. Will they tolerate the war hawks running their countries, provoking war against Russia? Now, the other test is that of Netanyahu's extremists, the Greater Israel fanatics, who are moving toward a depopulation of Gaza. This is Operation Gideon's Chariots, which is unleashing the Israel Defense Forces once again against civilian populations. Now, so far, more than 54,000 Palestinians have been killed since October 7th attack by Hamas. It may be more like 75,000, even 100,000. And now it's a couple hundred a day are being killed. The hospitals are being destroyed. And many tens of thousands are facing starvation because of the blockage of aid. Now, Netanyahu, responding to the pressure, said, okay, we'll give you a little bit of aid just so that countries can't accuse us of war crimes. Well, these are war crimes. President Trump himself expressed his concern with Israel's starvation of the Palestinians. Now you have the former Deputy Chief of Staff of the Israel Defense Forces, Yair Golan, who issued a statement warning that Israel is becoming a pariah state. Well, what do you mean is becoming? It has been. But he's telling the Israeli people, we're being seen as a pariah state, like South Africa was under apartheid. And he then went on to say, Israel today is not a sane country. A sane country does not fight against civilians, does not kill babies, does not have the aim of expelling populations. So Golan was speaking on behalf of many veterans of the military and intelligence services in Israel, saying enough is enough, cut this out. The population in Israel is beginning to move against Netanyahu. What did Netanyahu do? He accused Golan of aiding Hamas, giving a gift to Hamas. And he said he's engaging in, quote, despicable anti-Semitic blood libels against IDF soldiers. Well, think about that for a moment. He's accusing a former deputy chief of staff of the IDF of a blood libel, an anti-Semitic blood libel. Does he forget that after World War II, the Nuremberg Tribunal adopted this idea of never again, and that people either knew or should have known of the genocide going on, with the idea being that you can't hide by saying, I was only following orders. Well, what Golan asked is, well, who's giving the orders to these soldiers? It's coming from Netanyahu. It's coming from Ben Gvir, from Smotrich, from Katz, from a whole coterie of these Greater Israel fanatics. And so the idea of hiding behind it's anti-Semitism to accuse Israel of genocide when Israel's killing people in large numbers in front of the world. Now, it got so bad that even France, Canada, and the United Kingdom had to issue a statement. But this is not enough. They said this is unacceptable what Israel's doing. Well, it's late. It's been unacceptable for many, many months, going back to October 7th. The idea that you have a right to destroy a population because of an attack by Hamas is an example of the evil and immorality of that regime. Now, the key is really the U.S. Trump's comment on when he was leaving the Middle East the other day was that what's happening in Gaza is very, very bad and it should stop. Well, then stop enabling them. Cut off the aid. Cut off the money. Cut off the political support. Use the institutions, the international institutions such as the United Nations, to condemn Israel, kick them out of the UN if they're going to continue this, and embargo all aid and weapons from going into Israel. That could be done. Now, interestingly, late last night there was a leak from U.S. intelligence saying that they have information that Israel is planning on launching a strike against Iran's nuclear program. This is after Trump told Netanyahu the U.S. would not support that, while the U.S. is engaging in an ongoing diplomatic approach to Iran. It's a tough situation. It's not going well, but instead of continuing, the Israelis are saying, let's make it a fait accompli. Let's strike their facilities in a blitzkrieg. Now, this is a provocation, a further provocation from Israel. I want to call your attention to something that I'm linking in the description box today, an open letter to Pope Leo XIV from Helga Zeppler-Roush and Ray McGovern. And what it basically says is to the Pope, speak out against this evil, assert moral authority against this genocide, and give an example to the rest of the world that this is not acceptable. This is what LaRouche meant by taking the moral fitness test. Can mankind show the courage and the morality to openly fight against evil forces, even though they're very powerful and have had their way for a long time? So the open letter is in the description section. Circulate it. Talk to people about it. Get VIPs to sign it. Congressmen, state legislators, political party leaders, ministers, and others. We have to build up a momentum behind the forces of good if we're going to defeat the evil that we see unleashed in the world. And then register for this weekend's conference, this weekend Schiller Institute conference, where we'll be having extensive discussions over 2 days on Zoom or in person, if you can make it, to take up this question of how can we demonstrate that the human race is fit to survive. So thanks for joining me. Take up the